Live from Stockton, California, by way of Nashville, Tennessee, your co-host. He's the author of the Little Meth Community. He's a professional wrestler, a martial artist, a fighter. The ladies love him. Ladies and gentlemen, you love this man. Give it up for the BMF, Matt Freeman. And your host is still filthy fucking rich, and he's still filthy fucking cheap. Ladies and gentlemen, Jiu-Jitsu black belt extraordinaire, Tim, the multi-million-dollar champion, Freeman. And today's special guest, Ryan Aiken.
What is up?
Bro, this time difference, man. You got me up at 7 on a Sunday.
I know.
I was
It's good for you.
night.
Yeah, I figured you'd be wrestling, but this was a test I wanted to determine how serious you were about coming back to the podcast and getting it out here. So I figured we'd do a real early morning one, and I would use that as a way to gauge your commitment and your discipline and your faithfulness to the inside BJJ cult.
Well, as you know, when the Big MF wrestles, he always goes to Space Mountain when he's done. I haven't even gone to bed yet. That's how dedicated I am.
You've been up all night. I've been
up all night long.
Wow, it's been a long time. You know, the last time we got together was like right when COVID hit, like right after it hit. We sat down and we started drinking and we got real sloppy on the podcast.
That was pretty, yeah.
You remember that?
That was pretty crazy, man.
How different is it now looking back, Matt? Like, it's so fucking weird. Like, did you think it was gonna last this goddamn long, man?
I barely had figured out that it was legit back then. I was thinking, man, this thing is gonna not be that big. It's gonna go away. Everyone's freaking out over nothing. And that was right after I went to the store and saw there was no food and no toilet paper, and I was flipping the fuck out.
It was the run on toilet paper that freaked everybody out, right? I know.
No, it was I hadn't taken it serious. I had no food yet. I hadn't gone shopping, and I go shopping, and there's nothing.
Yeah, it's all emptied out.
I don't have skills. I'm not a survivalist. I don't know how to make anything.
Looking back, like in hindsight, what do you think is like? Is there anything you thought was going to happen that didn't happen, or anything that you thought wouldn't happen that did happen?
More people died than I thought would.
Yeah.
But other than that, it lasted longer than what I thought.
Yeah, fuck yeah, it did, right? I mean, think about all the places that closed down. And then think about all the places think about all the places that closed down, and then they're like 2 weeks, flatten the curve, and everyone needs to close. And then eventually those places reopen because they're like, fuck it, we got to make money. That was like a crazy decision.
It was going to eventually go away if we just social distance and shut everything down and stayed home. We'd stop it dead in its tracks.
I think people thought if they voted Donald Trump out of office, COVID would go away. Like somehow COVID would disappear if he was gone. Right. What a big fuck you, right? COVID's like, fuck you. I'm still here. But you know what's dope, dude, is the jiu-jitsu world in the beginning, you know, kind of shut down a little bit. Like everyone was shut down. Everyone was doing their virtue signaling, and, you know, Keenan was out there preaching the gospel of stay home for a few weeks and buy his DVDs and all that stuff. But eventually the jiu-jitsu world came back. All the combat world, like the UFC, MMA, those were like one of the first groups to come back, and everybody was talking shit and it was going to be bad and this and that. And they actually kind of paved the way for how to do it.
The UFC didn't even go away, I don't think.
Not really. They built the dome, right? They built that center in Saudi Arabia or wherever it is in the United Arab Emirates.
It was like kind of important too in a way because there was nothing to do. Everyone's freaking out, but we still got fights and we still got to drink.
Dude, I wonder how many new viewers the UFC picked up during that time period, because for a minute they were the only kind of sports thing going on regularly. Like the NBA couldn't get their act together. Major League Baseball was a fucking mess. The NFL was kind of all over the place, but the UFC kind of, like, Dana White's got some big brass ones and just basically kept pushing forward and made it work. And I think that's the right thing to do, right?
He's got to somehow be in the New World Order to make that happen.
Is he? I can't figure out if is he part of the NWO or is he fighting against it?
That's what I can't figure out. He knows shapeshifters for sure.
He knows some lizard people. Joe Rogan has to, right? They're all in it now.
You got to be by now. I don't know, man. Joe Rogan's pissing a lot of people off. They're trying to cancel him.
Dude, what I know, Joe Rogan went from like I like Bernie and like I'm super chill about everything to becoming a little more transparent about what he
I
really
don't think
thinks.
he's like anti-Bernie though, is he?
I don't think he is either, but he's becoming a little more vocal. It's getting a little more clear onto his political leanings one way or the other. I just wonder how many people in the jiu-jitsu crowd that were like, oh, we love Joe Rogan. And now that Joe Rogan maybe has some views that are not lined up with their views are going to go like, oh, now we don't like Joe Rogan.
Well, you could see it on like just social media, the hit job articles, the people coming after him for mostly for COVID, I guess.
I think mostly. What would they do with Big MF, man? They would come after Big MF.
Big MF is vaccinated. Big MF thinks everybody should get vaccinated. Big MF would not take no horse drug if he had COVID. That's all I'm going to say. Please don't cancel Big MF.
Right. Yeah. Hulk Hogan had a 9-inch pecker, but Terry Bollea has a 5.5. You know what I mean?
I understand that.
You get what I'm saying.
I get it.
Man, a lot has changed, dude. Obviously I packed up and moved out of California and came to Nashville, and I get two looks on that. I get one from the super conservative crowd. They're like, yeah, you did the right thing. And then from the not conservative crowd, they're like, oh my God, is your family okay there? There's probably so much racism there. So I always get to
do you really get that?
I have several times now, dude.
Have you found that to be
Are they uncomfortable with Mexicans? Dude, everyone's fucking cool back here. The South is not what people think of the South like it's some fucking movie that was made or something, some Gone with the Wind shit or Dukes of Hazzard style shit. It's not like that, man. The South is cracking, dude. Nashville's way cooler than any city in California at the moment.
No way.
By far, dude. It kicks San Francisco's ass. It kicks Los Angeles's ass. I got to go see Dave Chappelle and Joe Rogan, 20,000 people, Bridgestone Arena, shoulder to shoulder. Nobody's flipping out.
You might not want to say that too loud.
Yeah. Don't come around me. Cancel. Yeah, but it's awesome, man. And we're opening 10th Planet Nashville back here, which is pretty dope. So I'm pretty stoked about that. It's going pretty good. I'm trying to run both academies, so I'm trying to run back home and out here at the same time. So it's a lot of work, but it's working. The crowd out here is like, Nashville people are way different than Stockton people. Stockton people have prepared me for everything. That's one thing that I figured out.
Yeah, man. Nothing's worse than Stockton.
There's nothing like a Stockton hustle. Like you can smell the hustle coming when people out here try to get a hustle on you. In Stockton, the hustle's so like well played and thought out and degenerate at all levels. Just got me ready. The caliber of people back here just seem a little bit better. I kind of feel bad, like I'm misjudging everybody. Like I'm expecting everyone to come in and try to rip me off. You know,
they're like all white belts at being street smart, and you're like a 6-degree black belt.
Right?
You got like a red belt.
I told my kid we could start a street gang in the city we live in and literally run the town. For sure, we could run the town. You know what I mean? Like, if Big MF was out here, Big MF, you would have a stable of ladies, and then you would you'll be quiet. Don't say the two. We'd have a stable of ladies. You could completely operate as Big MF 100% of the time, man. You could.
I'd be killing the Cougars out there.
Yeah, you would, man. I think you'd be a big hit in Memphis too. I really do.
I gotta get
thought about you a lot in Memphis. Memphis is a lot like Stockton, to be honest with you. When I was downtown Memphis, it feels like the buildings look similar. Really? Yeah, man, it was weird, dude. I was tripping out on it. I talked to my sister. She's been to Memphis too, and she said the same thing. She had the same vibe. Like, feels like downtown Stockton. It was trippy.
I don't know anyone that's moved there that didn't really like it after they moved.
Yeah, there's a lot of people moving here too, man. It's pretty dope. Dr. Pete from San Francisco moved out here. Remember Dr. Pete Goldman, the chiropractor?
Oh, yeah, that guy can cure you of anything by adjusting your back.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, he moved out here, dude. He hit me up the other day. He's come in and trained a couple
making
times.
A killing out there with those country bumpkins.
He's like, look over here, crack your back, you're healed. Yeah,
he's got COVID. Not anymore.
He's fixing people by cracking their backs.
Like, he could cure your side effects to the vaccine. And it can cure you from COVID too by cracking your back.
Right. Just crack your back a certain way. It opens up the ivermectin pathway. It's normally blocked. It comes out of your pineal gland creates ivermectin, and when I crack this a certain way, it releases it through a channel and goes into your body.
Exactly.
That's not true. That's completely false. You got to be careful now, because you could, if you say the word ivermectin.
No, man, they got like the fact checkers will put a post up while we're talking.
Yeah, live, real time. It comes across the banner. That would be like 90% of my conversation. Can you imagine if you were fact checked in real time as you spoke?
I would never be able to speak.
Be silent your whole life, right? What's been going on with the wrestling gig, man?
I'm your current TWF champion. You could find that on Total Wrestling Federation. You can find my matches on YouTube. I got a big match coming up in Sacramento, December 11th. It's a three-way match with myself, Vinny Massaro, and Jake Frost.
I don't know if I've ever met Jake. I've met Vinny though.
Frost has been around for a long time, man. He's like a country fed hoss. Maybe borderline inbred. I'm not sure. We wrestled once. I would have won, but Vinny snuck in the ring and he landed a snoring elbow on Frost.
On Frost.
Yeah, and I was like, my brother Vinny, and he's Italian, so I'm like, yeah, fungal. And what did the motherfucker do? Boom, lands one on me, lays me the fuck out.
Fucking Italians, always changing sides, man.
But in a way, I still had a successful title defense. I walked away champion.
You got the strap. As long as you have the strap, one thing that I've learned from wrestling is that as long as you have the strap,
it's a win.
It doesn't matter how you have it, as long as even if you take it from somebody, if you just steal it, you have the strap now. It's your strap.
Originally, my goal was to never win a match, to get DQ'd or counted out every time.
Be like a champ that's literally only has technical wins. Like you don't
but
have.
I wanted to call them all title defenses.
Oh, title!
I think 2 Saturdays ago, I defended my title against Christian Black, and he was so sorry that I just pinned him straight out.
Just put him right down,
fair and square.
Easy pin, easy. I gotta give it to you, dude. You the last
Saturday night, I wrestled for Next Level in a 4-man Survivor Series style match, and me and Justin Caton, we the Cowboy, we've been brawling so long. I hit him so hard a couple of months ago that I cracked his fucking rib. I literally made him shit his pants. No joke.
In ring, in the squared circle.
Yeah. So we went at it again. We got double counted out, and we didn't actually win, but we're coming for the titles though.
The shows that you've been putting on, and I'm not going to give out any specifics about locations. I just have to say that like you got real big brass balls when you throw wrestling shows in your own hood. You know what I mean? Like the whole.
We're not doing that anymore. Now we have them in Sacramento.
Am I at liberty to talk about those shows?
Stadium. The other location where that was is no longer doing shows.
You're like those shows were the best wrestling shows I've ever. I could not believe you pulled off what you pulled off and what was happening in the location where it was happening all at the same time. You know what I mean? It was the only thing you were missing were strippers, I think, and it looked like maybe a couple of those showed up actually at one of the events. Maybe
that almost happened.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. Yeah, this guy had full on wrestling shows going on in a particular location where you're not supposed to necessarily have a wrestling show, right?
I would say
vendors
makes the dream work. We had a good team.
You had a great team. And if you had a chance to check that out, then you know what I'm talking about. What's funny is there was a dude who trained jiu-jitsu in Stockton, and he was a big guy. I think his name is Brian. And he was like out at all your shows when I would go out there. He'd be out at all of them. I think he got more into your wrestling shit than he did into actually training jiu-jitsu.
When we were doing them at that location, we had a lot of people that came to every show.
Yeah. That's kind of trippy, huh? Like there is a community of people that actually like to go see the local wrestling just as much as they like to watch it on TV. You know, like they're digging it.
It's completely different altogether.
Yeah.
It's a different experience.
So, dude, I had a chance to talk to Ryan Aitken. He's gonna compete against Rashad Evans in Combat Jiu-Jitsu, and I think Rashad is gonna compete against him, and then Donald Cerrone's fighting Craig Jones in a Combat Jiu-Jitsu match.
Jiu-Jitsu slap.
Yeah, slap boxing. They're slap fighting. They're slap grappling.
Man, I think Cerrone's gonna get murked.
Dude, I don't. I think
Really?
Cerrone's gonna beat Craig Jones. I think he has a chance to do it. Because this is what I'm going off of. One is Cerrone's bigger than Craig Jones. There's this idea that he's not. He's bigger than him. Okay. And I know Craig Jones is a tough guy. I know he is. He's fucking great at jiu-jitsu. However, Donald Cerrone has a bunch of submission wins in the UFC. He's fucking violent. Like, he's used to high level violence, like punching, and he's used to guys trying to grapple him and grab him while he's socking them in their face and hitting them in the head. I'm just saying this could be a case of Cerrone putting hands on Jones in a way that Jones has never had hands put on him.
Didn't Jones give Gordon Ryan a run for his fucking money?
Yeah.
No way, bro. He's going to murder Cerrone. Cerrone's going to get murked, bro.
I don't believe
this is not going to go longer than 2 minutes. He's going.
How's he going to get him? How do you think he's going to get him?
I don't know. Submission, rear naked choke, arm bar, leg lock, whatever.
I don't think so. I think that this is what I think. I think if Craig gets him, he's going to get him right in the beginning when they're dry, or he's going to get him in overtime when there's no slapping. Because if he gets overtime position, he's going to get him for sure.
There's not going to be any overtime.
You think it's going to go quick?
It's going to be fast.
How big of a deal do you think it is?
They're not on the same level when it comes to that.
You don't think so?
No, it's just slaps on the ground, right?
Yeah, but I mean, these slaps are like open hand palm strikes, dude. Guys are getting knocked out now.
I mean, yeah, but I don't know.
You're not buying it.
No, Rashad. I don't know the other guy that well. I don't know.
Aiken. He won the last. He's the current champ. He won the last one. Yeah, he's.
I guess
real
I start watching.
Fucking tough, man. But Rashad, damn dude, Rashad's got fast hands and he's a good wrestler.
When you got a wrestler like that, you got to lean towards the wrestler staying out of submissions and just landing the slaps.
Yeah. I think that's definitely the strategy that they're going to play. But I think it's kind of neat that Combat Jiu-Jitsu is getting these UFC guys in it now.
Well, yeah, man.
Right?
I wonder how much money he's making.
I don't know. I would think that the UFC has a vested interest in developing Combat Jiu-Jitsu as a developmental league for guys going into MMA, right? And then you have it as
going out.
And guys going out, and then the guys that are going out can help the guys coming in. You know what I mean? Like, it's a good idea. It's on Fight Pass. Network? Yeah, okay. UFC Fight Pass.
And is Eddie still doing it?
Fuck yeah. It's giant, man. Like, I know originally when Combat Jiu-Jitsu started, I mean, I think it's open. I think everyone pretty much agrees that a lot of people felt like Combat Jiu-Jitsu wasn't that great. I mean, yeah, I'm just being real.
They really weren't slapping the shit out of each other.
Well, not all. I mean, I like J.M. Holland when he went up against Chad George. That was a great match. Like, that was dope, man. But some of them seemed like maybe there was a little bit of an agreement to like
except for the Brooke Mayo, Alimale McFarlane. That was some nice slapping.
Yeah, that was you always bring that up. That was a nice slapping fight. It's getting better. So like they're pushing the action more. I don't know if the promoters, I don't know if like Eddie or Victor's pulling these guys aside and going like, hey, you got to bring the fucking heat. Like, we need entertainment here, because they're getting better. They're slapping more. They're getting after it. The different guys though, man. It's not all the same grapplers that we're used to seeing for the classic EBI roster. It's not that group of guys necessarily.
If you're not really used to slapping somebody in the beginning, you're not going to be so great at it. I don't think.
Yeah, it's going to be hard, right?
You kind of got to work at it.
Yeah. So I had a chance to sit down with him and chat about, his upcoming match, how important it is to him. And it's interesting because he was saying, like, when the COVID shit happened, he was kind of like, man, like, what the hell? Like, what am I going to do? And that's when everything took off for him. Like when shit went south for most people, it actually picked up for him, which I think it was like that for some people. They picked up on the opportunity, but I think it's pretty dope that Combat Jiu-Jitsu is growing. And I believe next year they're going to bring back EBI. So they're going to start running both again, which I think is a great fucking idea. Everybody loved EBI at the Orpheum, especially at the Orpheum. They probably won't do it at the Orpheum because of all the vaccine mandates and all that shit. They'll probably do it in Mexico, like they're still doing Combat Jiu-Jitsu, but it's fucking dope, dude. Like, I'm excited to have EBI back.
Yeah, I'm gonna check this out. I kind of fell off the wagon for a minute on combat jiu-jitsu, but sounds pretty fucking good.
Right, Cerrone, and Cerrone's competitive, dude. He's competitive, like, and he's active. He's not sitting on his ass. He's out hunting, riding dirt bikes, paragliding, fucking climbing trees, chopping shit down.
Yeah,
He's
but he
starting
ain't
fires,
doing jiu-jitsu like Jones.
sword fighting. He's fucking throwing axes. He's starting fires. He's cutting trees down. This fucking guy, dude. I think that Cerrone may have a stronger chance. That's all I'm saying. I could be totally wrong, but I think he has a strong chance. You don't see it. I know you know, but I have an insight into things that you don't quite have yet. Just in the slap fighting. No, I don't. I don't know. You got to. I think it's going to be a good fight for sure. And Craig Jones is as awesome as Craig Jones is. I feel like he's still underrated, and he's still a little bit in Gordon's shadow. It's like, fuck, dude.
I mean, everyone's in Gordon's shadow.
Yeah, you see,
Gordon Ryan is the fucking king, bro.
Gordon is gonna finally compete up against Andre Goval at ADCC, right? And this is the big matchup.
That should be a combat jiu-jitsu, if you ask me.
No shit. Gordon's saying that Andre should just go ahead and resign right now and give him the match right now, so he doesn't have to suffer the embarrassment of what he's going to do to him in front of everybody in Las Vegas.
Dude, what about when he slapped him, bro? That shit was crazy.
Do you think that was a work?
Man, if it was, that was a good one.
I mean, would you work like that in a way where you get humiliated and people don't know it was a work? They assume you are humiliated. Like, does
there's a lot of money at the other end of the work? Hell yeah.
I don't know if there's a lot of money. Reportedly, it's only 10 grand.
That's it.
He was asking for $1 million. Maybe they're just saying 10 grand, but it's much more. I think Galval wanted $1 million. He probably could get it. That's the thing. I think Gordon will for sure be the first guy to make $1 million, like paid $1 million to grapple.
You think that there's many people watching jiu-jitsu that you can make $1 million?
Yes, I do. Yep. Especially with inflation. With inflation now? Yeah, for sure. I think so. It's not that far out of reach, man. Especially if the UFC
with money dropping it, but could you make so much money from a show that it would be profitable to pay somebody $1 million?
You might be able to, maybe not from the live gate, but if you got pay-per-view sourcing or revenue sales, you probably could. It's at some point. I don't know if you packaged it right. I don't know if it would be a whole grappling card, but maybe you put Gordon Ryan's super fight on an existing like MMA card or something like that. Package it up like a Triller or something, you know,
like that.
Have him fucking fight Jake Paul or something, man. What do you think about these Paul boys, dude? At first, I kind of thought they were lame, but fuck, dude, they're training. Like they're fucking putting their time in.
They're doing it right, and it's working. Yeah. They're getting a lot of attention. Everybody's watching their fights, and how they're winning, they've won all their fights so far.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Or done well.
They're doing pretty well. Yeah, they are. I'm a little bit
like.
This
fight is a big test though for is it for Jake Paul?
Is he fighting
Fury's nephew or Fury's brother?
Isn't one of them trying to fight Mike Tyson?
I heard that, but I don't know. But this fight is in 3 weeks. That's the real test because besides the Mayweather Logan Paul fight, they haven't fought real boxers. They fought MMA guys who were ripe for the defeat, like Askren. Even Woodley hadn't won. He lost his last 3 or 4 UFC fights. Couldn't pull the trigger in those fights. Didn't pull the trigger in this fight. Now he's fighting a real boxer with some real boxing skills. That's a huge test.
Yeah.
I suspect that the train might stop here.
You think so?
I think Fury could be the guy to derail this if this thing is a legit fight.
Yeah, I mean, do you think it's going to be a legit fight? Because supposedly fucking not Rashad, man. The guy Tyrone Woodley, they were saying that there was some agreement where he couldn't punch in the face or something like that.
Who said that?
I don't know. This just was floated out there, so you don't fucking know. Yeah, fact check that, Jamie. I don't have Jamie today.
What was the agreement again?
That Woodley couldn't strike in the face.
Well, he did. That doesn't make no sense. Come on.
I'm gonna have in my fight contract that we're gonna fight, but you can't do any trash talk or say mean
That would be
things.
like a WWE boxing match where you're having the special clause, no striking me in the face,
No
but I can
head
strike you in the
strikes.
face.
Yeah, right. No foot stomps. I think Jake Paul and Mike Tyson are in agreements to fight. They're trying to get it. They're trying to get something set up, and I guess Tyson's training, and he's yoked, and he's back on the juice, and he's fucking.
That would be a pretty big fight.
Yeah, dude. I would love to watch that.
Who was it? Jake, or it was Jake that said he owned Stockton?
Yeah.
He was talking shit about Nate Diaz.
Yeah, the thing about Stockton is, like, if you come to Stockton and say that, a regular Stockton person will try to fight you.
We'll try to fight you.
You remember when Thomas Denny was like, he wasn't even talking shit about Nick Diaz, I don't think. He was just going to fight Nick Diaz, and he was out jogging in Stockton, and, like, people were harassing him.
That was a real hostile crowd, too.
Yes, man. It's fucking crazy. Like, they take it real serious. You can't, especially if you're talking about the Diaz brothers. If you were talking about me, they'd be like, yeah, fuck that guy. But if you're talking about the Diaz brothers, then all these Stockton people are like, fuck you.
I mean, what a huge fight would that be, though? Nate Diaz versus Jake Paul.
He may as well do it. Get the fucking money.
I mean, it'd be huge. It'd be, millions of viewers, millions of dollars.
Yeah, I think so. I agree with you. That's for certain. Hey, let's take a quick break. We'll come right back with the interview with Ryan Aitken from 10th Planet Atlanta. He's fighting Rashad Evans December 19th on UFC Fight Pass for Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds. Be sure to check it out. It's also featuring Donald Cerrone and Craig Jones as the feature fight. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Inside BJJ. We'd like to welcome Ryan Aitken to the Inside BJJ podcast. Ryan, you got a big match coming up at Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds against Rashad Evans. It's kind of like the biggest name that's probably been on Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds. Tell me how you're feeling right now about that.
I mean, excited, nervous, because man, the thing is, it feels like every time Combat Worlds comes around, I don't have much time for it. It's just like it hits me. Hey, you want to do this? You want to do that? And I gotta go because this is my thing now, you know. So like the last one, it was, you know, I didn't know if I was gonna win the qualifiers. I won the qualifiers, and then it was like 1 month, you know, I had to get ready for it. And now it's like, again, it's like 4.5 weeks I had to get ready for it. So, you know, and now I'm looking at, you know, on the backside of this, I got to be getting hit in the face by like one of the top light heavyweights of the UFC. So
yeah, it's got to be interesting preparation, right? Like, how are you feeling about that coming into this particular match versus how you got prepared the first time around?
Oh man, this is I mean, this is the thing, man. Like, I know from when I was fighting MMA that I have a chin, but it was being tested against like you know big welterweights. It wasn't being tested against light heavyweights. So, you know, and that last Combat Jiu-Jitsu, again, you know, that was against guys that were like 185. You know, now I'm against 205 Rashad, who, you know, if I remember correctly, watching like videos of him when I was younger, man, he had some massive legs. So this is a big guy that's going to generate a lot of power, you know, trying to knock this shit out of me.
What's the strategy going into a match like this with a guy like that? Because he has so much experience striking. He's been hit quite a few times, right? He's been in a lot of battles. Do you go into it like, hey, I'm going to strike this guy? Or you go into it thinking like, I'm going to try to submit this guy with jiu-jitsu?
Well, I mean, why would I like box with, you know, somebody that's been boxing way longer than me, you know? That's something that happens in this combat jiu-jitsu, man, is like people start like trying to like learn how to box and like slip and use boxing in their jiu-jitsu and stuff. And it's like, I just don't know if that's really been developed yet. But if anybody has like a better boxing while grappling, it's probably Rashad. So, you know, I'm gonna try to focus on my jiu-jitsu aspect, and just listen to my coach, and hopefully it turns out the same as it did last time. So
Do you foresee the sit down rule coming into effect in the sense that, like, when you guys are up on your feet, you see yourself voluntarily sitting down? I don't think I'd be really surprised if Rashad sat down. If that rule goes into effect, do you have a particular preference?
So if I was fighting against like an ADCC trials, I could see a guy like Rashad sitting down and wrestling up if there's points involved, but because there's no points, Rashad doesn't really have you know, there's no incentive for Rashad to really be on his back, um, unless he had like killer overtime. So, I anticipate Rashad wanting to wrestle, stay on his feet, use anti-jiu-jitsu, and exploit me being a dumbass and like sitting on the ground just getting smacked in the face. So that's what I think he anticipates. That's what I think, like, uh Instagram, UFC Fight Pass would like to anticipate. So I got a few things up my sleeve for this one.
You have some secret sauce you've been cooking up at 10P Atlanta there, or what?
Yeah, Sean's been prepping me pretty well for this.
How do you
So
get ready for combat jiu-jitsu? I mean, it feels like it's still in that area of, it's not traditional MMA preparation, and certainly it's not just submission grappling, right? There is an element of striking to it, and it is kind of its own thing. How are you guys getting ready for it in general?
the biggest thing is to try to so because in this case specifically, it's a super fight, so we try to mimic like the training that we're anticipating, or the fight that we're anticipating. We try to use similar body builds and whatnot, and like you try to mock the fight as much as you can. So that brings a lot of specific training, special, like, just certain styles that you need to work on, as opposed to like a tournament setting. So see, if we were in a tournament setting, I would know that Rashad's going in blind, I'm going in blind
Sure.
against like all these other guys' styles and stuff. So you really just focus on yourself, and in like your own, jujitsu, or fighting style or whatever. You just focus on yourself if it's a tournament. But because it's another person, you have to be very specific, because that's that's how MMA camps are. That's probably how Rashad's training right now. I saw a little video where Rashad kind of gave me a short shout out, and said he was getting ready for the Combat Jiu-Jitsu, and I saw the guy he was working with. I'm like, wow, that guy looks a lot like me, his body type and stuff. So, he's doing the same thing, because that's how fight camps are.
How important do you think combat jiu-jitsu is to jiu-jitsu in general? And the reason I ask is, we saw kind of like the rise of EBI a few years ago in submission wrestling and submission grappling. It became a kind of a super fight event. We started seeing these things happen. And then Eddie introduces combat jiu-jitsu. And I think the initial reaction was a little lukewarm, honestly. I think a lot of people were like, we want EBI. We want to watch that style. And it took time for combat jiu-jitsu to grow on people. But if you look at the combat jiu-jitsu matches in the beginning, which were very entertaining and great, you can definitely see development now in the athletes now, and the tactics and the strategies, and the way things are getting, growing and innovating. How important do you think combat jiu-jitsu is to jiu-jitsu in general?
I think combat jiu-jitsu is the most important thing to jiu-jitsu, because it's going to bring more eyes onto the sport. Because, man, you go and you look at the numbers, right, on Instagram. You look at the likes on UFC Fight Pass's page. You look at the likes between, my page, where, a lot of, or my pictures and stuff, where it was just a lot of jiu-jitsu. But then you look at like Mikey's, I think it's Mikey Perez, you look at his media and stuff that was put out, and this dude like just slamming his palm against people's faces, blood everywhere, and you look at the engagement there, and that is like way bigger difference, you know. So truth is, man, people, dude, like people that watch UFC, people that don't know much about martial arts, they don't really give a shit about jiu-jitsu yet, you know,
Yeah.
yet. But they can, you know, and they will when you show them that it's still relevant and it's not just this old Brazilian guy in a gi from, you know, the 90s. And now we show them that we're doing some really cool like Shinya Aoki shit, you know, like where we're just wrapping around guys and limbs are breaking, you know, and guys are trying to hit you in the face still, you know. I think that the public hasn't seen that jiu-jitsu has evolved yet. They still have the idea of Hoist Gracie in their head, and the truth is, like, Hoist Gracie's style would get smoked nowadays by the MMA fighters in the UFC and whatnot. And I think people might get that, like, kind of have that like sense at this point. So you know,
Yeah.
this is the evolution going on right now, and I think that combat jiu-jitsu is going to bring more people into the sport of jiu-jitsu, and then they can decide, oh, I want to see just jiu-jitsu, oh, I want to see more combat jiu-jitsu, oh no, UFC is my thing. But honestly, I think once they see combat jiu-jitsu, you know, you're gonna pull the skeptics and the pro jiu-jitsu guys that, you know, want to see jiu-jitsu work. You're gonna pull all of those into combat jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, it definitely is a kind of a bringing back to focus of like what jujitsu really is intended for in the beginning, which was a defensive martial art, right? And sports jujitsu is awesome. I love sports jujitsu. It's super fun. But when you take the element of the fact that you can get hit in the face out of what you're doing, it really changes up the things that you do. And when you bring that element back, now the distance you're playing at, how you're playing that distance, how you're managing it, how you're approaching it, it definitely means something. And it, in a way, it restores power back to positions like the mount and side control, knee on belly, positions you could effectively strike from, become very important again. Whereas I think in the submission grappling world, there was a little bit of a sentiment that like, hey, everyone's falling on the legs now, which was really fun to watch, right? And it was important that that kind of development happened. But when you add strikes to it, it definitely changes the complexion of what's happening and makes it real.
Yeah,
I do think that in mixed martial arts, and the casual mixed martial arts fan definitely undervalues jujitsu. But I think that's because from a spectator standpoint, you know, I could bring my grandma to a fight and she understands if two guys are punching. Like she could get that. But if two guys are pummeling for underhooks, she's like she don't know what the hell's going on, right? So it's a little less intuitive to understand when you're watching grappling. But I think combat jiu-jitsu is a nice entryway for people to kind of get into that.
absolutely. Um, yeah, I was thinking like the first thing that came to mind when you talked about, you know, the difference between like, you know, mount and how you're not really worried about getting punched in the face so much if you're on top, of course. But then like a position like reverse Dehiva or something where you're on the guy's center line, you know, you're trying to get underneath them, you know, Barambola or get to their legs. And dude, honestly, even Deep Half, dude, like I feel like I remember watching Deep Half try to get incorporated into MMA, and I don't think it really
Didn't work.
stuck, man.
I just talked
It's
about that today in class, actually. Deep half,
yeah,
everyone's like, no, don't do it. Yeah.
yeah. So these ones where you're like going through the center line and you're just chilling there, uh, man, like it's a great way to just get the shit beat out of you, you know. And so you look at reverse De La Hiva, which is stuck in regular jiu-jitsu for the last like, you know, 6 to 10 years or so, you know. And it's been effective in jiu-jitsu, but like if strikes are involved, like it's a bad spot to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right about that. And it's funny that you mentioned the deep half because it's an effective game if you're just grappling, but you add strikes and very few people can pull deep half off in an MMA fight. Like you might get one in, you know, if you're lucky, right? But if you get stalled out there, like man, you're gonna take some damage. So that is an interesting concept. How important is this fight for you in the sense that like did you foresee yourself, say, a few years ago, becoming a combat jiu-jitsu guy? Did you have MMA aspirations? Like what what was the path you were on, and how important is this fight for you in terms of establishing yourself in combat jiu-jitsu?
Oh man. So I've wanted to do MMA again since that was the initial, you know, goal when I was like 15 getting into the sport. I went to a gym, tried to do some Muay Thai, like hit the bags and stuff. And within one class, the instructor, Eddie Camden told me, you want to do jujitsu, you don't want to do Muay Thai. And so I went and I did that, and it turned out to be like the first thing in my life that I was ever like kind of good at. But I was watching movies like Never Back Down and whatnot, so I had all this angst. I wanted to fight MMA eventually. I would have those MMA fights when I reached about like 18 to 21 years old, and the last one didn't really go my way, and so I decided to just focus on jujitsu, and maybe I'd get back into MMA again. And now I feel like it's starting to go that direction. So I like the combat jujitsu because it's a way for me to kind of like focus on honing my jujitsu into an MMA world. It's like transitioning it into the MMA world. And as I think that it's like that for every jiu-jitsu athlete that does this event. And if I did not foresee this coming, man, I was an IBJJF guy like 5 years ago. Like
Great.
that's all I thought I wanted to do. But then when I switched over at the beginning of COVID to 10th Planet and started training with Sean, because honestly I was scared of those guys. um Man, all of a sudden I'm getting on these pro shows. I'm building the connections that I always wanted, like, and everything just seems to be happening for me right now, and it's crazy because it feels like it was something I wish I had this type of momentum happening when I was younger, but at this point it couldn't be happening at a better time because you know I'm at 28 years old. I'm finally like starting to hit the peak of my athleticism, and I'm hoping to just freaking full throttle into the outer space. So this whole Rashad Evans fight is a blessing. It really is. I At first I was hearing names like some of the other UFC fighters, like that Russian dude with the lip.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his
Yeah, that
name.
dude's a badass. Yeah, I was hearing names like that. I was hearing who else? God dang, there was some other guys, and then Rashad Evans came up, and I'm like, holy shit! I was watching this guy when I was a freaking kid, like when I was 15, 16, like that was, it's like I'm finally getting to fight my heroes. So
Yeah.
it is what it is.
That's actually a really neat story. I'm happy for you too. Like to hit it at this time too, because I think when COVID came around for a lot of people, it's like, ah, man, like everything's on hold. I can't make any progress. I can't do anything. But it also became an opportunity for people too to change their direction and make significant improvements in their life. And sometimes it's by chance, like you're just kind of like in the right place at the right time, and you take control of the opportunity. And sometimes you're kicking at that same door for a long time. But I'm stoked that it's happening for you, and I think it's a great time for combat jujitsu. And I could foresee the UFC eventually, and maybe they're already doing it. I don't know. I think it'd be a wise move to use combat jiu-jitsu as a developmental process to get guys into the UFC. I know they have like the Contender and they do their, reality show, and all that stuff is cool, but those are guys that already have had fights before. Many of those guys, they're 2-0, 3-0, whatever. But I could see combat jiu-jitsu being like a onboarding into MMA eventually. And also it's kind of a nice outboarding for the veterans who are like, hey man, I don't want to get hit with a closed fist 35 times in one round. Like I'll do some combat jiu-jitsu, and then they can help. right? And they also have kind of an offboarding into whatever it is they want to do in the future for themselves. So I think it makes a nice compliment. I think especially if the UFC gets behind it. UFC gets behind it, it definitely has a very, very bright future.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more money coming into combat jiu-jitsu, you know, from this event to the last event, and I think it's just going to get better and better as long as we put on a good show.
Yeah.
And I know Eddie Bravo, and I know the management and everything will put on a great show, do the best that they can, but it's on the athletes too, you
To
know.
show up.
Yeah, for sure. You know, like if you're getting paid show money, if you're getting paid money for like the first fight and stuff, you know, like you know, it's kind of on you to like go out there and give it your all and make it exciting. You know, it's not. This is an investment. This is definitely an investment into the sport.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you say that, because I think for a long time this is what's plagued the jujitsu, specifically jujitsu, and then grappling athletes in general, is that there's such a view of it as like an amateur competition all the time. Like it's a tournament, or it's a match against this one guy, and it's more competition based, and they're not thinking of it as a promotion where it's like, yeah, you want to win, but you have to be entertaining. It's just as important. If you go out there, you don't put it on the line, you don't entertain the folks, then even if you win, people, they'll watch you, but they'd rather watch somebody else that really gives it their all. And you know, I'm happy that you're saying that, because I think that the submission only kind of process in general started to help that attitude develop and that understanding develop in these athletes, that hey, I got to bring something to the table. Like I got to show up, I got to have some swag, I got to do something. Like I don't got to talk shit about everybody, I don't got to try to like slap everyone in the face, right? But at the same time, like I got to do some things that kind of get my name out there and also compel people to want to watch me compete. And when guys go out there and put on great fights, people remember that and they want to see you again. So yeah, I think you're right on the money with that. I think it's a big deal actually that Rashad Evans is on the card, Donald Cerrone's on the card against Craig Jones. I'd really like to get your thoughts on that. Uh you know, I think Cerrone's dangerous, and obviously Craig Jones is extremely dangerous. I'd like to hear your take on how you think that one's going to come out.
Well, I've never seen Cerrone in real life, so I don't know like how exactly like how big he is. I can't really size him up. I have seen Craig though.
He's bigger than
And
Craig.
is he really?
He's big. I know, right? Yeah, he's taller than Craig.
Jesus Christ. That's not just Google saying that, right?
I
This
haven't
is
seen them side by side, but if you check the if you check their stats, he's bigger than Craig.
and Cerrone used to fight at 155, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's fought up and down the chain a little bit. He's
Yeah.
pretty thick right now.
Yeah. Dude, that's crazy, man. So I don't think Cerrone's ever fought somebody that's like got as good jiu-jitsu as Craig. Um, you know, especially on the lower body, which could definitely be an issue. Uh, but dude, like I don't know, man. I think Craig. I could foresee Craig using his style that he used at the ADCC is counter wrestling. You know, he released an entire DVD on this stuff. Um, I could foresee him using all of that against Cerrone. That might be also why it keeps like just getting marketed on Instagram a lot right now, is because it's all a promotional for that. So I could foresee him using that, you know, a lot of the head snaps and whatnot, or collar snaps, and um, I think that I think Cerrone is just gonna try to get as many strikes in as he can. You know, it'll look good on the cameras and stuff. You know, at the end of the day, for the MMA fighters, you know, they're looking at is, oh, you know, I got submitted, I got to tap out. You know, for the jiu-jitsu fighters, you know, we're like, oh God, brain damage. Yeah, let's try to avoid that. You know,
Do you think Cerrone can land a clean enough strike on Craig to rock him? That because that's the question, I think. Because if it seems like if Cerrone can, you know, because the level of violence that Cerrone is accustomed to, and I don't know if Craig Jones trains MMA. I'm sure he's put the gloves on at some point, but it just seems like Cerrone is more used to a higher level of violence. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be able to win, but I just see him being very comfortable when Craig is trying to grapple and he's trying to strike him, you know.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. Definitely is
Yeah.
going to be a good fight. I think it's a great move for the folks running Combat Jiu-Jitsu, right? To get Donald Cerrone on the card.
Well, hey,
Magnificent.
dude, honestly, I think it's a great move for Cerrone. You know, like I think I think that it's good for these guys to like be able to make some money, you know, fighting jujitsu athletes and not just like taking more brain damage, dude, standing,
Sure.
you know, on the feet and stuff, you know,
Yeah.
and be able to come out and do some combat and do something that they're still pretty good at, you know, they're going to be good at hitting people in the face. So like this is honestly like a very healthy thing for them. You know, they're making money. They get to stay in the sport. You know, like this is good. This is good for them. And I think it will actually, if more guys will take these events, you know, I think it will prolong their careers way longer than we've seen in the past for a lot
Oh,
of like
sure.
MMA athletes, you know, like dude, because the freaking brain damage is real, dude. It really
Yeah.
is. And
Of course.
it's another thing that's kind of on my mind a lot, you know, when I think about MMA and you know, me getting back into MMA again, you know, it's like um, the right ways to train, you know, in combat jiu-jitsu is just a new event you can still do that's combat and you're going to take less brain damage in there, you know?
A- Absolutely. And you know, I think a lot of people haven't talked to fighters after their fight careers and been around them and actually see the trouble that they have from getting hit in the
Yeah,
head.
they
Like
hide,
it's
dude. They hide.
yeah,
Like they're
yeah,
gone. The media hides them, you know?
yeah.
It's a very ugly truth that nobody wants to talk about.
It most certainly is. I do think it could prolong careers. Imagine Khabib coming to combat
Oh
jujitsu and going
Jesus,
like,
dude, don't say that. Don't say. Hey,
"What do you
hey, bro,
think?"
that's a $1 million deal, man. That ain't happening. We're not doing that. No, no, no. No, I'll take the scraps. I'll take the scraps, bro.
Khabib.
Don't throw me to the wolves, man.
I'm just
Oh
saying, like
Jesus.
he's like, "Hey, you know, I'm retiring from MMA. I'm gonna go to combat jujitsu now."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
that'd be great, right? I mean, it'd be fun to watch, that's for
that'd be
sure.
scary, dude. That would be really scary.
Yeah, outstanding. So I know you're not looking past this one, man, but what do you got lined up for you coming up, man? Anything else beyond combat jiu-jitsu?
Uh, you know, honestly, like after this December 19th, I'm just gonna chill a little bit. You know, like I got ADCC trials next April. That's a big one. I'll definitely do something in between now and then, of course, but
Sure.
in between combat jiu-jitsu and then, but that's going to be my main focus going into the next year. I'm really disappointed with losing the last one to Giancarlo. You know, I've taken some losses to him in the gi. Then, you know, this no gi one, it's like I felt like I was doing everything right, and then I took the low hanging fruit, did what every idiot does, like with leg attacks, falls back on one, and then it's just downhill from there. You know, I was essentially playing my B game against his A game. You know, and
Yeah.
that was really dumb. You know, like I didn't listen to my coach. You know, and he told me after, he's like, this loss is gonna burn a little bit. You
Yeah.
know, and it's fucking burnt, man. Like it
Why
really
does
has.
that happen as you know, I didn't compete tons. I was always a 50-50 competitor. I competed at all the belt levels, but like win and lose, win and lose. And I'd have times where I'd go out and I'm like, I'm gonna play my A game, and then I would play my B game. Like I would make some. It's like you're at a restaurant and you're like, I'm gonna get the meatloaf. I'm gonna get the meatloaf, and at the last minute you're like, I'll have the chicken salad. You're like, why the fuck did I do that? Like, why does that happen to athletes when they get out there? Sometimes it's like you intend to do this and you end up doing something different.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. It's because this is what's happened to me, man. It's because I'm not present. I get ahead of myself. I start thinking about the result. I start thinking, okay, you know, there's this leg, and yeah, like I saw that Finkel right there, man, but I didn't get the fucking pin on his hip. You know, I didn't put my foot on his hip. You know, I was super late to that. I was just shitty braking mechanics. It was something I didn't rep enough. You know, and like yeah, you can like see the video. You can see like there is a breaking opportunity right there, and I missed it completely, you know. And that was because I got it, like I wasn't present, you know. I wasn't breathing, I wasn't blinking. Like that's something I really try to do now is when I leave my eyes open too long, like I feel like I actually saw this in some footage with other people. I'm like, why are they blinking so much, you know? At the highest level, and I'm like, do they have like eye problems or something? And then I started like Googling blinking helps your short-term memory.
Oh,
So
interesting.
like when it's like you're taking snapshots. So when I'm having those long training sessions and I'm like I'm fucking tired, my eyes are wide open, you know, and I feel like we're about to have a clash and I need to prepare myself for it. I start blinking and I'm like, all right, here I am. You know, it's like a call back. I got to call myself back into the moment.
Interesting.
You know,
Yeah, very interesting.
I get the most out of my training when I'm doing that, and when I'm competing. When I was in the finals against Derek Rayfield at the last Combat Jiu-Jitsu, we're on our feet. You know, like my eyes are wide open. My head's starting to go into, oh my God, I'm in the finals. And then I'm like, Ryan, blink. You know, I start blinking and I'm like, I'm here, you know, I'm here, you know. It's like you got to be present, you know. It's very difficult to do that. And I found that blinking, breathing, you know, it's almost like pinching yourself, you know. You got to
Yeah.
call yourself back into the moment.
Yeah, it is. I think when you're the person acting and in the action of whatever the moment is, sometimes you can take a step back and become a passive observer to it and be driven to some result you really don't want. Two things on the way out, man. One is how much fun is it to compete against Derek Rayfield? He seems like the kind of dude that's just constantly doing a bunch of things that you're like, how are you doing this? Where is this coming from, right? And he seems incredibly strong. And so I want to get your feedback on that. Then I want to get your feedback on Andre Galval and Gordon Ryan coming up at ADCC. Obviously, that's the big super fight. So let's hear about what. Just give me your feedback on Rayfield first.
So Rayfield's everything you could ask for a jiu-jitsu athlete, like into like an MMA world, right? You know, like he's trying to do all the entanglements, you know, he's trying to just wrap himself around you like a snake, like literally like an American Shinyaoki, you know. And um and not only that, the motherfucker likes to talk shit, dude. Like he talks so much shit when he's in there competing. You know, he's such a brat, bro. But like, you know that I know at the end of the day, he's just doing it to get in your head, you know, and
Sure.
try to rile you up and stuff. And it's just part of the game. But like, you know, it's that gameness. You know, he's got that gameness. You know, that's something you always want, especially if you're a promoter, man, and you want someone like, you know, competing and stuff. You want to show jujitsu to people. You want somebody with gameness, you know. Um, so like somebody who, you know, they get their nose bloodied and stuff, and they're talking shit. Like that's what you want.
That's
You know,
money, man.
you go to the ADCC Instagram, and what do you see every day? You see Orlando Sanchez with his tongue
Right.
out and
Head taped
tape
up.
and blood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's what, you know. That's that gameness. People want to see that. You know. So like, you know, Derek fits the bill on that one.
Yeah. Absolutely. Andre Galval, Gordon Ryan, big super fight coming up, right? Gordon Ryan's talking mad shit online, as always. And these guys have a history. And what's interesting is I've always gotten along with Andre Galval. Actually, he's always been very, very kind. He's come on this show a bunch of times before. Has been really chill. But I have seen him lose his temper in just regular jiu-jitsu things. I saw an incident where he got escorted out of Worlds because he jumped over the stand, over the railing at some call. I've seen him get visibly frustrated and upset. And then, of course, the recent altercation with Gordon, where Gordon slaps him in the face, which is like, well, you know, kind of a big deal. Seemed like a big deal, you know.
Yeah.
And now they got a super fight coming up. This might be the most anticipated since like the rematch of Eddie and Hoyler. Like I don't remember an anticipated rematch. How do you think this is going to go down?
Well, it's being marketed very well. You know, they're pulling some of like these, you know, I mean, that slap seemed pretty real to me, but you know, like this is all like what you Dude, we need to take over the WWE world. Like, this is what we need to do. We need to take over the WWE world. We need to have some characters with lucha libre masks on.
Sure.
This is
Right.
what we fucking need for real,
Yeah.
because we're actually doing the real science, and then people can reintroduce flips and like crazy shit into it, and it gets more dangerous. But the fact is, we're going back to the roots, you know, and people are
Yeah.
gonna add more characters, you know, and it's gonna sell more. We're gonna have all the little trailer park boys watching this stuff, you know. This is what we need. And you
Yeah.
know, Gordon's doing it right. You know, like yes, like we need the humbleness, we need to sell the Eastern spirituality and stuff to everybody needs that, you know, but you can get that out of yoga, you can get that out of, you know, like what really brings money into the sport and is what Gordon's doing, you know, and Galvao is kind of the opposite end of that. You know, he's always had the whole, you know, religious aspect to it that we've seen in jiu-jitsu, and it's just like it's these two stereotypes that are going against each other now. You know,
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily just like new versus old. You can still have people that are very like spiritual and, you know, like more worried about ethics and stuff, you know, in the sport, but it's like we're having both new jiu-jitsu versus old jiu-jitsu and new uh style, like
Yeah.
in marketing and stuff versus old, you know. It's pretty cool.
It's very interesting to see, and it's hard to deny how good Gordon Ryan is. Great, really. I think it's okay to say great when you talk about Gordon Ryan. Um, at the same time, you know, Gordon's beat the who's who, right? We've seen him run through ADCC, do a pretty amazing job, but he still hasn't matched up against Galval. And I would say Galval's like the last of that old guard of like these top elite level jiu-jitsu guys that were kind of running the jiu-jitsu scene for a long time in terms of like, you know, worlds and championships and ADCC. These were like guys always showing up on the scene in the top five, and Gordon has kind of come through and just systematically beat a lot of those, as well as Craig Jones, but Craig doesn't get quite the same level of credit. um, but I think it's anticipated on that level too. It's like if Gordon beats Galval, then there's no question that he is pretty much taken the mantle over 100% from the previous generation, right?
Well, I think
There's no question.
I think he already has,
Sure.
but I think a lot of people that don't really know jujitsu, you know, might think otherwise. Um, if you, well, for one, like, is the rule set for this the same old ADCC super fight rule set where it's like 30
That's a good
minutes? Like,
that's a good question. I can look that up. I'm not 100% on that. Do you think that that would play into Gordon's ability to beat Galval or Galval's ability to win the match?
uh, I don't know, man. Like, of course, Galvao is going to side with, you know, the boundaries. He's going to tailor his training for anti-jiu-jitsu and using the boundaries and whatnot, and not really like
Sure.
tying up and stuff. Or, you
Hmm.
know, maybe they'll tie up. He does tie breaks a lot, you know, and like just breaks away, you know, the whole time. Tries to run him out of bounds, you know. Like I had a tough match like that at ADCC trials, and it's fucking annoying, man. I'm like, just put me in a box with this guy, I'll tear his head off, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but if you have no like walls, if you just have this matted and carpet on the side, you know, guys just want to run, like push you out into the table, or run away from you the moment you get a hold of them. And there's what's annoying is that they can actually take advantage of these fucking boundaries and win a match off of it. You know, like it turns into a sumo match at that point. You know,
Yeah.
um,
Right. Right.
I understand that the ref's decision is supposed to go like, you know, towards whoever's like moving forward and stuff, but still, that's like a sumo match. You know, you're not tying up. You know, so like I feel like I would like if Andre and Gordon tie up in the center, Gordon's always going to beat him 10 out of 10 times, every single time. But if like Andre starts pushing him towards the boundaries and stuff, then it becomes a matter of who knows the rule set better. And in this case, though, I feel like Gordon has better political ties than Andre, and probably just better coaching as far as the rule set at this point, and all of that does both matter, you know. So
Yeah, I mean, I think that definitely submission grappling has a vested interest in Gordon kind of being the guy, right? I mean, in that sense, but I don't know. I think Andre's connections go deep. I don't know how much your connections come into play in an event like ADCC.
oh, are you kidding me?
Who's to say?
You kidding me, dude? Like you're in the finals. Okay, you're in the finals, and this ref has to make the decision. And while Andre might have made like better technical decisions at the boundaries, you could see Gordon busted his ass the whole time and actually tried to engage and actually tried to like make it an exciting fight and stuff. And you're the ref, and it just so happens that your boss is pretty solid friends with Gordon, you know, I
Yeah,
think it's gonna go Gordon's way. I'm just saying, like
I'm trying to make
and
it.
that's just if no jujitsu is played. That's literally if no jujitsu is played.
Listen,
Like,
I've made so many enemies with this podcast. I'm trying not to make any more enemies. I know what you're saying. I get it. No, yeah, it definitely can play into it. I want to see it for sure. I want to see it. I like both those guys. I actually really like Andre Galval. I think that Atos has brought a very interesting approach to jiu-jitsu. And then if you look at like the Mendez brothers, they've brought some really cool stuff and they're doing some neat stuff. And it will be an interesting clash of mindsets and styles and old guard and new guard, just like you said. Like it's going to be a really neat thing, and it needs to happen. I think that if it didn't happen, people would always say, "Yeah, but he never fought Andre. I wonder what would happen." And I don't want it to happen when Andre's 45 years old. Like I want it to happen now. I want it. It needs to go now. He's freshly slapped. Everybody's ready to watch it. You know, Gordon's ready. Everyone's ready to do it.
yeah, yeah, it's gonna be pretty dope, man. I mean, they definitely like. I don't know if it was communicated between the two, you know, like conspiracy theory level, or if it was all Gordon, but like, you know, they did a great job, you know, getting this kind of, you know, all this wind underneath it, you know, and
Yeah.
it's gonna pull a lot of like clout, you know, and
Yeah.
it's great, you know. I mean, I don't think there's anything as like epic as this since Eddie Bravo fought at Metamoris against that was Hoyler, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then maybe Hodger Gracie way before that, you know, like I honestly like this is
Yeah.
one of those moments, you know.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. I'm stoked to see it, man. I want to remind all of our listeners and viewers that they can check out Combat Jiu-Jitsu. That's on, I want to get that date right. Is that December 19th, I believe? Is that the right date on that, Ryan?
Yeah.
Yeah, December 19th. You have to get UFC Fight Pass. Definitely worth it, man. Entertaining as hell. I'm super stoked for you, Ryan. I think you're going to do fantastic. It's a big match, of course. I have an inherent bias for all the 10th Planet guys, so I'm definitely pulling for you. And
Thanks, bro.
I love Sean and the crew down there at 10th Planet Atlanta. They're real good guys, man. So hopefully we'll see you soon, man. We're up here in Nashville. I'm not too far away, man. I might make a trip down. Just to say hi to you guys, man.
Yeah,
So
maybe after my event, you know, well, if it's not too cold, you know, I'd love to come up to Nashville.
right.
Nashville's popping off. It
Man,
really
Nashville's
is.
wild, dude.
Yeah,
What? Best thing I
yeah.
did was leave California and come to Nashville, man.
Dude, that's what you did? You went from California to Nashville?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
okay. Most people
Yeah,
went from California to Austin, but I don't
yeah.
blame you for going to Nashville, bro.
I went from Stockton, California to Nashville,
Oh
which is
shit.
even
Okay.
more wild, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
so pretty awesome, man. So hey, best of luck to you, dude. Thanks for coming on, man, and we will talk soon, all right, partner?
Thanks, bro. Take care, Tim.
All right, man. Thank you, bud.
Yeah.
And welcome back to the Inside BJJ podcast. Hey, let's do some message board recap on the way out, just because that's always so much fun to do. I thought that'd be nice to kick in. I got one loaded up for you, man. I'm going to bring it up on the stream. This is if I ever went to prison. I feel like I'd constantly have the urge to roll, so I'd teach my cellmates some techniques and hope it somehow doesn't get me killed. What's your what's the big MF prison go to?
Wait,
like, dude, this
say
is just
that
someone's
again.
comment.
Say that again.
This guy's comment says, if I ever went to prison, I feel like I'd constantly have the urge to roll, so I'd teach my cellmates some techniques and hope it somehow doesn't get me killed. Hey, Sally, mind if I take your back? How do you think that's going to work out in
It's a
pen?
horrible idea. Don't teach anyone anything. You have the advantage. Like, choke motherfuckers out, break arms. Don't show motherfuckers how to beat you.
Right.
That's all you
Right.
got.
Yeah, duh, right?
I wouldn't show anybody nothing.
No shit, man. No shit. Okay, let's see where we can go with this, man. Let's keep it rolling.
Horrible idea.
Yeah, right. Reddit message boards are the worst, by the way. I mean, it's so bad, dude. Let's see what we can find here. Being the only white belt in class, is it good or bad? What are your thoughts? I saw a gym near me, but it looks like I'm going to be the only white belt in class. I'm just wondering how this would affect the way I learn, because obviously I was always going to get dominated. I will not have a partner where I can genuinely pull off moves in actual sparring, which may make me think if I'm actually learning. I don't have a way to actually see my progress.
First of all, nobody gives a shit. Shut the fuck up. Go train. Get smashed. Do whatever. You're overthinking this shit. Your opinion doesn't even fucking matter. Just
It's
fucking
like this,
go.
You try to get it all figured out ahead of time. Like, okay, I'm going to need people to be able to pull these moves off on. And if I can't, here's the thing that's fucked up about jiu-jitsu. You can't pull the moves off on anybody when you start, not even brand new people. You can't do shit to nobody. It fucking takes forever to get good at it.
Unless you're
steroids.
Strong,
yeah.
like Big MF.
What kind of regimen of steroids would you recommend somebody?
EPO, HGH.
HGH. Let's see. Let me find another one. I don't want to make fun of anybody. Oh, I guess this is it. It's so lame. This is how much is on Reddit? What's going on? Oh, there we go. Oh, here's, I don't even know if I want to touch this one, but let's do it. Men versus perms. It seems the women in my gym get promoted dramatically sooner than the men. The last
it's probably
the last two female blue belts that were promoted were both done within a year of starting. Honestly, as a two-stripe white belt, I don't find them especially hard to submit. I love how everyone has to give their qualifications. My weight, how much I weigh, how old I am, what techniques I'm good at, how many stripes I have, what part of town I live in. What
students you do well against, the ones that you don't. But even though you don't do well, you can withhold this move when they try to do it to you.
It's funny how when you suck at jiu-jitsu, you got to find all these small victories. Like, I'm not really getting anyone, but he can't get me in that double Kimura attack anymore. Oh, good for you. It says, honestly, as a two-stripe white belt, I don't find them especially hard to submit. For reference, there are two other older women who regularly destroy me with precision. LOL. Also, most blue belts can tell me several things I do incorrectly when we roll, but I find that these ladies aren't much more knowledgeable than me. Meanwhile, several of the men have been training regularly for 2 to 3 years and are sitting on 4 stripes. These guys compete and win. Weights ranging. They always got to give the weight. You always got to give the time you've been training. You always got to give your level of stripes. Weights ranging from 120 to 200 pounds. Is this typical in jiu-jitsu? I'm starting to question my professor's credibility for a number of reasons, including this one. Big MF, go.
It might be true. I don't know, but your best bet is to not even worry about it and just do your own shit and focus on you and fuck what everybody else is doing.
Dude, no shit, man. 100%. The people that have the hardest time in jiu-jitsu are the people that are keeping tabs about everybody else's promotions, how everybody else is doing.
It's going to hold you back. You're going to get mad. You're going to be in class. You're going to be like, I'm finally going to get my stripe finally. And the chick's going to get promoted. You're going to be so fucking pissed.
Yeah. How many promotions have you been to where like one particular person didn't get the promotion?
Everyone.
Fucking everyone, right? Have you ever been to one where somebody didn't get their fucking feelings?
No,
met?
it's just like every single wrestling show. Someone's upset because they're not getting a good match, or they got it. It's the same shit everywhere you go.
I should have the strap. Okay, was I being a dick here? I've done BJJ for a few months now, and I started a new school. I'm 3 weeks in. Here we go. Here's the stats. They're coming. They always come. You can't make a post without them. I'm by far the smallest guy, standing at 5'5", 130 pounds. We were doing some. There's the weight. We were doing some rolling sparring today, and I was partnered with a giant guy, easy 6'2", 200. He was very new, so we started from half guard with him on top. I tried escaping and failing, so I opted to just get him in full guard. After putting him in full guard, I then managed to break his posture. I put him in a triangle. He taps and escapes. So again, I try half guard escape, fail. Then I'm put back in full guard. This time I try to sweep him with a scissor sweep. I manage to do it, and I have him on side control. I get mount, grapevine his legs, and submit him with a sleeve choke.
Okay. Man, this guy's really bragging about himself.
Yeah, man, he's whooping ass. Okay, so half of the paragraph, half of the post so far, he's kicking dude's ass. So this continues where at one point he has mount in me. That's an interesting mount, but he leans forward too much, so I bridge and roll and end up on top of him. Me, coach, and the assistant coach see what is happening, and then after the round, they decide to spar against me, submitting me multiple times. I realize
who did that?
He said my coach and the assistant coaches were watching him. And then after the round, they decided to spar against him, and they submitted him multiple times. Like they were enforcing against him. Like, you're going too hard on that guy. I realized I probably got enforced, but it's like, I don't understand what I was doing wrong. I seriously wasn't going super rough on the guy, and defo wasn't using strength. The new dude is giant. I literally just have more experience. The class I'm in is full of super new people, blah, 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 blah. You know what? This is usually what it is in my experience, is that people that think they're going really easy and only using technique and not using any strength are using a lot of strength. They're going really fast, and they're a little spazoid, and everyone else can see it except they can't see it. And so they think when somebody does something to them that it's like, oh, it's like in the back of their head, they know they're not grappling correctly. And so when something happens, they're like, oh, that's punishment. That's punishment.
This guy's got some problems, bro. he talks about how much bigger this dude is and how he's smaller and all the shit that he did to him. You were doing too much, and you got your ass whipped for it.
Yeah, it's part of the game. There's just nothing else you could do, man. It's just part of jiu-jitsu, dude. Let's get one more in, man, before we jump off here. Let's see. We got to get a good one. That was a pretty good one. The message boards are just the fucking best of all time. You know what I mean? They never.
They're so funny.
Then they're always great, man. Let's see. Correcting misconceptions about proper breathing technique. Okay. Heavyweight bottom technique. Here we go. Fat guy venting. I'm one of the largest dudes in my gym. I'm about 310 pounds, with a good bit of that being lean mass from powerlifting. Hey, he has to make sure you know that he's lean. He's not fat. It's
not all fat.
This is fit fat fuck, right? This is the fit fat fuck guy, right?
Probably more fat than what he likes to admit, though.
I've got a decent top game thanks to this, and most of the people at my gym generally end up under me thanks to my wrestling experience. If I do find myself on bottom, we generally go from turtle to me on top again in short order. The issue is the rare occasion when I roll with a person my size or larger and I end up on bottom. It really highlights how sloppy my bottom game is. Hey, here's a tip for you, dude. Your top game's probably sloppy too, but you're so fucking big you can hold everybody down. That's usually the experience.
And when you get a fat motherfucker on you, you don't like it either.
Hey, dude. Yeah, right. Have you ever had the conversation with somebody where somebody just outright told you, like, it's almost like they're talking and then they kind of look around and they go like, I fucking hate big guys in jiu-jitsu. Have you ever had anyone tell you that? I've had people tell me that.
I mean,
I hate big guys.
I've always been one of the bigger guys in the class.
Yeah. So, yeah. So you're one of the hated.
I got a lot of muscle though. It's not, you know.
It's not. It's lean muscle
I feel
mass.
sorry for people that roll with me because I'm such a bastard. I will like literally apologize when we're done rolling. Like, sorry, man. I know I'm an asshole.
You're very. You can be your aggression can become borderline violence. You've all.
I have a lot of weird tricks, like pushing your face into the ground, into the mat.
I remember the first time we grappled together, and I was so like after I started taking jiu-jitsu lessons, and I was so juiced up on jiu-jitsu, and you were so fucking rough, dude. I had never rolled with anybody that rough, and it was just like John. It's like fuck, dude. My neck hurt for like 3 weeks, getting all cranked on.
And then I was like, why does he want to roll with me?
Who is this? You brought Luis over one time. You remember Luis? You
Yeah.
guys, like, we grappled under my carport. I used to grapple out there in like 100 degrees, man. I'd call Chuck Walker over and he'd come over and like whoop my ass under the carport in the summer. Bunch of
Man,
fucking
I used to
idiots.
beat your ass pretty easily, Lino, like real easy.
Oh,
and then,
yeah.
You got pretty serious about jiu-jitsu. I started partying and drinking a lot, and I'd be drinking all night, drunk, texting you, talking shit to you, and you'd be like, well, you're drinking and partying, I'm training. And then one day you just started whipping my ass. And you got the advantage now.
Never looked back. I had the advantage. I still don't want to punch with you, though. I still feel like you're more reckless when you punch, and you don't care if you hit me, and I care if I hit you.
Been doing a lot of boxing, actually.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So, dude, it feels good to fire this back up again, man. Definitely gonna be pumping out more shows with video too. We're kind of sorting out this live stream thing too, because I want to start going live as well. Get some other people, like get a little panel in here. That'd be dope, man. Really pull some shit off. So, sounds like a good idea, right? Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right,
Let's do
hey,
it, brother.
make sure you check out.
Little MFers.
Yeah, for sure. Check out Big MF at Big MF 209 on Instagram. You can check out InsideBJJ.com. If you want to hear the episodes, you could download the app from your favorite app store. It's called Inside BJJ. Everything's there. Stay tuned for more content, man. I'm gonna be, dude. I'm going, dude. I got big plans. Nobody knows about them yet, but after I get initiated into this secret society, then I'm going to be really taking things up to another level here. So
I'm very interested in how that works out for you. Let me know.
I will let you know. And if I feel like you're grateful and you're humble about it and you show humility, and also
I'm a very humble man. I
want you
the most humble person you'll ever meet in your fucking life is how humble I am.
I want an apology over the Stockton PD incident. From the infamous show.
Man, I feel like you're the one that was wrong.
Dude. What an uncomfortable set of audio to listen back to. It's very
I feel like you were out of line more than me.
Oh, man, I was out of my mind. I was totally in a nutty.
I was just doing the basic ball busting that either one of us could end up doing to each other.
But if I look at you like this and I go, don't bust my balls today. I was out of it. Dude.
You did ask me to stop and I didn't.
I asked you sincerely to stop and you said, okay. Okay. Yeah. So stay tuned, man. What's coming up next for you, Matt?
December 11th, I'm wrestling for defending my TWF title. Sometime next month, I'm going to be wrestling for Next Level. Those are the two things I got going on right now.
Nice. Hey, man, it's great to be back, dude. We're going to keep rocking it. Thank you guys for the support. Lots of people still want to listen. This is kind of our first time back. Don't worry. It's going to be rad. All right. Thank you very much. We'll see you guys on the other side.